Chairman Barrett.
Shota.
Vice Chairman Capps is absent. Secretary Travis, Secretary Treasurer Travis, Shota. Representative Johnson.
Shota.
Representative Lambert.
Shota.
Representative Whistler.
Shota.
Representative Slavin.
Shota.
Representative Wessel Hall, absent. Representative Pratt.
Shota.
Representative Spinacoffer.
Shota.
Representative Bowden.
Shota.
Representative Dave Fair.
Shota.
Representative E. Marie Carney.
Shota.
Representative Bursall.
Shota.
Representative Payne.
Shota.
Representative Dave Carney.
Shota.
14 present, 2 absent.
14 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting held May 31st, 2018. If you read those in the record, please. Secretary Treasurer.
Quarterly legislative meeting, May 31st, 2018. President Chairman Barrett, Vice Chairman William Capps, Secretary Treasurer Charles Dill, Representative Barrett, Bursall, Bowden, Dave Carney, Eve Marie Carney, Johnson, Pratt, Lambert, Payne, Slavin, Middlecoffer, Whistler, and Westlaw. None were absent. Guests were Caleb Lee, Jason Smalley, Charles Clark, Ray Quinlan, George Wright, and Jamie Moak. Vice Chairman Capps introduced the guests in attendance. Chairman Barrett called the meeting to order at 5:40 p.m. First item of business, minutes from the meeting of November 30, 2017. Motion to approve minutes as read was made by Representative Spinacoffer, second by Representative Lambert. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Second item of business, minutes from the electronic meeting of February 22nd, 2018. Motion to approve minutes as read was made by Representative Dave Carney, second by Representative Bowden. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Third item of business, minutes from the electronic meeting of March 29, 2018. Motion to approve minutes as read was made by Representative Spinacoffer, second by Representative Bursall. Motion passed 15 in favor, 1 abstaining. Fourth item of business, minutes from the electronic meeting of April 24, 2018. Motion to approve minutes as read was made by Representative Payne, second by Representative Lambert. Motion passed 14 in favor, 2 abstaining. Fifth item of business, resolution 18-47-NR. Motion to approve resolution 18-47-NR was made by Representative Westhoff, second by Representative Whistler. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Sixth item of business, resolution 18-48-NR. Motion to approve resolution 18-48-NR was made by Representative Whistler, second by Representative Pratt. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Seventh item of business, resolution 18-50-LCOE. A motion to approve resolution 18-50-LCOE was made by Representative Barrett, seconded by Representative Eva Marie Carney. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Eighth item of business, resolution 18-53-ED. Motion to approve resolution 18-53-ED was made by Representative Eva Marie Carney, seconded by Representative Lambert. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Ninth item of business, resolution 18-54-LCOE. Motion to approve resolution 18-54-LCOE was made by Representative Dave Carney, second by Representative Lambert. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Tenth item of business, resolution 18-55-NR. Motion to approve resolution 18-55-NR was made by Representative Westhoff, second by Representative Barrett. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 11th item of business, resolution 18-56-NR. Motion to approve resolution 18-56-NR was made by Vice Chairman Capps, second by Representative Bursall. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 12th item of business, resolution 18-57-HHS. Motion to approve resolution 18-57-HHS was made by Representative Slavin, seconded by Representative Barrett. Resolution passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 13 items of business, resolution 18-58-HHS. Motion to approve resolution 18-58-HHS was made by Representative Johnson, seconded by Representative Bursall. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 14th item of business, ordinance 18-01-HHS-T18. Motion to approve ordinance 18-01-HHS-T18 was made by Representative Kraft and seconded by Representative E. Marie Carney. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 15th item of business, resolution 18-59-E, D, and C. Motion to approve Resolution 18-59-ED&C was made by Representative Dave Carney, seconded by Chairman Barrett. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 16th item of business, Resolution 18-60-J&PS. Motion to approve Resolution 18-60-J&PS was made by Representative Johnson, seconded by Representative Barrett. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 17th item of business, Resolution 18-61-T&C, TC&A. Motion to approve Resolution 18-61-TC&A was made by Representative Payne, seconded by Representative Bursall. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. 18th item of business, adjournment. There being no further business before the legislature, motion to adjourn was made by Representative Whistler and seconded by Representative Smith-Coffer. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Meeting was adjourned at 8:20 p.m.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as read. Motion made by Representative Bursall, seconded by Representative Payne. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Honegay.
Secretary Treasurer Charleston. Konigay. Representative Johnson.
Konigay.
Representative Lambert.
Konigay.
Representative Whistler.
Konigay.
Representative Slavin.
Konigay.
Representative Kraft.
Konigay.
Representative Smith-Coffer.
Konigay.
Representative Bowden.
Konigay.
Representative Barrett.
Konigay.
Representative Eva Marie Carney.
Konigay.
Representative Bursall.
Konigay.
Representative Payne.
Konigay.
Representative Dave Carney.
Konigay.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Next is Resolution 1901, Legislative Committee on Enrollment. If you could read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Crouch.
Resolution 19-01-LCOE, a resolution of enrollment into the membership of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. Whereas the Citizen Potawatomi Nation is a federally recognized tribe of American Indians with constitutional authority under the Act of June 18, 1934 and the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act of June 26, 1936. And whereas the Citizen Potawatomi Nation has sovereign powers that are inherent in tribal tradition derived from a history of organized self-government since time immemorial and recognized by treaties with the United States and in the Constitution of the United States. And whereas Article 4, Section 3 of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Constitution provides for a separation of powers of the tribal government by the reservation and delegation of specific powers to other entities of the tribal government, and except for these specific limitations, all other general powers of government are embodied in the legislature's authority to enact legislation, transact business, and otherwise speak and act on behalf of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation in all matters on which the nation is empowered to act now or in the future. And whereas the following people have requested enrollment in the tribe and meet the requirements for membership as set forth in Article 3 of the Constitution of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. Kaylee Gale, Aline Moore, Christine Joel Lee Moore, Jillian Mystique Bromley, Justiniano, Camden Lee Byford, Luke Dean Pritchett, Christopher Lee Mitchell, William McGee Botan, Henry Booker Botan, Thomas Scott Botan, Todd Glenn Neal, Henry Jewel Brantling, Brian Cash Brantling, Olivia Grace Holloway, Aaron Parker Torquato, Alice Olivia Navarre, Jack Michael Trout, Jennifer Ann Murphy, Scarlett Tress Rush Pierce, Michael James Pulaw, Aaron Rashawn Duvall, Liliana Fong Hornick, Blake Adam Hornick, Ethan Adam Hornick, Noelle Faith Wallace, Alexis Alexander, Elena Alexander, Lorraine Nicole Mixon Catron, Carly Neve, Ann Alexander, Josiah Compton, Mackenzie Frederickson, Elijah Wani Lyles, Arvina Marie Martin, Wyatt Deshaun Martin, Michael Joseph Fitzgerald Jr., Cameron Chase Fitzgerald, Haley Nadine May, Mason Anthony Roberts, William Chance Roberts, Whitney Nicole Boyd, Chelsea Leigh Boyd, Kayla Ann Nichols, Haven Marie Nichols, Jonathan Hugh Forsman, David Matthew Howard, Cooper Charles Wiseman, Braxton Thomas Wiseman, Kason Anthony Weisman, Riley Rianne Dawson, Lane Remington Ray Harwood, Scarlett Ray Thompson, Abigail Rose Michael Moore, Richard Thomas Sexton, Julian Alexander Wright, Neve Ellen Kendrick, Gabriella Nicole Kendrick, Sophia Abigail Kendrick, Noah Marcus Kendrick, Beckham Dre Lawson, Brennan Randall Lord, Konoshet Neves, Alfred Alexander Neves, Emma Lenore Neves, Grace Adeline Neves, Claire Elena Neves, Naomi Felice Neves, Nash Anderson Featherling, Stacy Jean Fay, Jacob John Slavin, Levi James Singleton, Amanda Rose Nelson, Joshua Michael Nelson, Weston Dwight Davis, Kenley Ann Schulin, Tucker Allen Detweiler, Shane Allen Thompson, Sari Renee Young, Trent Michael LeClaire, Zayden J. Thompson, Whisper Elizabeth Marie Melody, Bentley Liam Smith, Grayson Lamar Smith, Leroy Wayne Hartman, James Dean Bodine, Caden James Lewis, Phoenix Inigo Hernandez, Tyler Jose Milstead, Cindy Nicole Milstead. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution enrolling the above named persons as members of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation who have by virtue of their written request for enrollment agreed to obligations of such membership and consented to the authority and jurisdiction of the government of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation and are now entitled to all benefits and privileges of the citizenship in the Potawatomi Nation as prescribed by law and tribal custom is hereby approved.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion?
I just had a comment because I know that
Representative Carney.
we reviewed hundreds of the last meeting. And this is still a substantial number. I mean, we are ready to enroll in a month. Charles Clark is doing an amazing amount of work, but we are enrolling a lot of people who, some of them are in 1971 or earlier. So this is pretty amazing. We're growing like weeds.
Popularity.
We're doing something.
Yeah, we're past 34,000.
There were 4 sets of twins on this one.
I noticed that, yeah. Is Chuck here? Over on page 2, there's middle of the page, Harley, Neva, Ann.
Yeah.
They don't list the last name. I'm assuming that her last name is West because the parent's name is Amanda, listed as Amanda Jean West. So I'd like to correct that and add West to that name.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I had one other question. I just never really have it in my head. We are on the next page, page 3. Anashay Neves is being enrolled, and she at the same time is the basis for the enrollment of her children and the grandmother. You see that?
They're out of District 5.
District 6, it says.
You cannot give us a guy.
I had one like that, and Chuck said they could do that with me to enroll at the same time. I guess they put one in and an hour later add the other, or however.
Yeah, actually, I believe that the authorizing, the constitutional parent that authorizes the enrollment of the names under it is Canon Chet, isn't it? First in that is.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a 71 birth. The rest of those are all 2003, 6, 8. So I believe that once Ms. Neves was enrolled, then constitutionally the remaining 5 are authorized.
So it's,
Any other discussion? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
Second, sir.
Motion made by Representative Barrett, second by Representative Whistler. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Show up. I'm sorry, Cunningham, got here too.
Secretary Treasurer Charles Conaghy. Representative Johnson.
Conaghy.
Representative Lambert.
Okay.
Representative Whistler.
Conaghy.
Representative Slavin.
Conaghy.
Representative Kraft.
Okay.
Representative Spindlecoffer.
Conaghy.
Representative Bowden.
Okay.
Representative Barrett.
Conaghy.
Representative Eve Marie Carney. Representative Birdsall.
Conaghy.
Representative Payne.
Conaghy.
Representative Dave Carney.
Conaghy.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent, it is approved. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 1902, Legislative Committee on Enrollment. You read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Childs.
Resolution 19-02-LCOA, a resolution acknowledging the conditional relinquishment of Chelsea Lee Cope. First, 3 whereas, the same as read in the previous resolution. 4th whereas, Chelsea Lee Cope 89RD112311 has, through formal request, submitted a conditional relinquishment from the System Following Nation, conditioned upon her acceptance as a member of the absentee Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma. And whereas if such enrollment is not approved, the relinquishment statement is not effective. And whereas if enrollment is approved, Chelsea Lee Cope may not reapply for membership with the System Following Nation in accordance with membership ordinance of the System Following Nation, Section 2-1-1A. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the System Following Nation that resolution acknowledging the conditional relinquishment of Chelsea Lee Cope from the System Following Nation is hereby approved.
I notice she lives in Austin. So this place north is over on 13th Street.
Oh, it's a 13th Street, right?
Well, we'll deal with that. Is this Victor's daughter? No, no. It is.
I was going to ask you the same question, I think so.
Probably it's Victor. Any discussion? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read.
So moved.
Motion made by Representative Spindlecoffer. Is there a second? Represented by Representative Eva Marie Carney. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Conaghy.
Secretary Treasurer Charles Conaghy. Representative Johnson.
Conaghy.
Representative Lambert.
Okay.
Representative Whistler.
Conaghy.
Representative Slavin.
Conaghy.
Representative Kraft.
Okay.
Representative Spindlecoffer.
Conaghy.
Representative Bowden.
Conaghy.
Representative Barrett.
Conaghy.
Representative Eve Marie Carney.
Okay.
Representative Birdsall.
Conaghy.
Representative Payne.
Conaghy.
Representative Dave Carney.
Conaghy.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Next is Resolution 1905, Legislative Committee on Enrollment. You can read that into the record, please.
Resolution 19-03-LCOE, a resolution acknowledging the conditional relinquishment of Carter Sean Cope. First 3 whereas, or the same as read in the previous resolution, a 4th whereas. Whereas Chelsea Lee Cope 89RD112311 has, through formal request, submitted a conditional relinquishment for her son, Carter Sean Cope 89RD120885, a minor, from the System Following Nation, conditioned upon his acceptance as a member of the absentee Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma. And whereas if such enrollment is not approved, the relinquishment statement is not effective. And whereas if enrollment is approved, Carter Sean Cope may reapply for membership with the System Following Nation after he has reached the age of 18 in accordance with the membership ordinance of the System Following Nation, Section 2-1-1B. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the System Following Nation that a resolution acknowledging the conditional relinquishment of Carter Sean Cope from the System Following Nation is hereby approved.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chairman entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Motion made by Representative Bowden, second by Representative Dave Carney. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Donahue.
Secretary Treasurer Charles Conagay, Representative Johnson,
Donahue.
Representative Lambert,
Conagay.
Representative Whistler,
Donahue.
Representative Slavin,
Donahue.
Representative Kraft,
Donahue.
Representative Spindlecoffer,
Donahue.
Representative Bowden,
Donahue.
Representative Barrett,
Donahue.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Donahue.
Representative Bursoff,
Donahue.
Representative Payne,
Donahue.
Representative Dave Carney,
Donahue.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Next is Resolution 1904, Legislative Committee on Enrollment. Read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Travis.
Resolution 19-04-LCOE, a resolution acknowledging the conditional relinquishment of Sawyer Dawson Coat. First 3 whereas are the same as read in previous resolution. The 4th whereas, Chelsea Lee Coat, 89RD112311, as through formal request submitted a conditional relinquishment for her son Sawyer Dawson Coat, 89RD123570, a minor, from the Citizen Pollination, conditioned upon his acceptance as a member of the absentee Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma. And whereas if such enrollment is not approved, the relinquishment statement is not effective. And whereas if enrollment is approved, Sawyer Dawson Coat may reapply for his membership with the Citizen Pollination after he has reached the age of 18 in accordance with the membership ordinance of the Citizen Pollination, Section 2-1-1B. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Pollination that a resolution acknowledging the conditional relinquishment of Sawyer Dawson Coat from the Citizen Pollination is hereby approved.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion?
Chairman,
Yes,
after
Representative Kraft.
we take the vote, will you explain how hard it is for us to have someone leave the tribe? So in that process, so they'll understand what we're doing.
Okay, I certainly will.
And I'll make that motion. Yes.
So the motion by Representative Kraft, there was a second by Representative Barrett. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Donahue.
Secretary Treasurer Trowska, Conagay, Representative Johnson,
Donahue.
Representative Lambert,
Conagay.
Representative Whistler,
Donahue.
Representative Slavin,
Donahue.
Representative Kraft,
Donahue.
Representative Spindlecoffer,
Donahue.
Representative Bowden,
Donahue.
Representative Barrett,
Donahue.
Representative Eva Marie Carney, Representative Bursoff,
Donahue.
Representative Payne,
Donahue.
Representative Dave Carney,
Donahue.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Relinquishment resolutions are generated by a request to the Tribal Enrollment Division for persons to disenroll. Disenrollment is permanent. And this family, of course, the father is of the 2 children, and then the one person was the mother. Father of this family is a citizen Potawatomi and has served on a number of committees and been involved in tribal business for some time. There is a considerable amount of research done in order to qualify these folks for relinquishment, and there is a blood degree requirement for the absentee Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma. I'm not sure if all of this was generated by some issue involving the housing department, since the daughter of Mr. Cook lives, and her 2 children live in tribal housing. This will in turn generate a requirement for her to sign a statement acknowledging her consent to the governmental powers of the citizen Potawatomi Nation, and as a condition of being in the tribal housing. And that usually ends up being somewhat difficult. But once you apply to get out, you cannot get back in. The children, though, since they are minors and their mother disenrolled them, has the opportunity to reapply for membership when they reach the age of 18. So they still can return.
Chairman,
You might also add that at that point, they've got to cease being a member of the absentee Shawnee, because our resolution says you can only be a member of one tribe, right? Wouldn't they have to disenroll from the absentee?
Right, and I think what the real situation is, as you pointed out, it is against tribal law to belong to more than one tribe. I believe they have been members of the absentee Shawnee tribe since birth, and we probably don't need to find out whether the father is too. The business of belonging to more than one tribe, the legislature worked really hard and put a lot of thought into that issue of whether or not a person can belong to a whole bunch of tribes and collect payments and money and services from several. And what we found is that those folks that belong to other tribes as well as this one were reluctant to obey tribal law because they had an out to go somewhere else if they lost their membership here. And removal without consent is an extremely difficult legislative process. So we at one time we had literally hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 members of the tribe who were members of other tribes, and some of them were receiving regular money payments from that tribe. I personally believe that you're either a member of the tribe or not a member of the tribe, and that taking money from that tribe while being a member of another is unfairly denying the rest of the membership of the other tribe a portion of the proceeds of their per capita payments. We don't make per capita payments in this tribe, and I believe the absentee Shawnee do. So we're really not sure what generated this, but we will have to go a little further in the issue of housing, and also investigate whether the original parent is also a member of the absentee Shawnee tribe, and ask that person to relinquish. And if they don't, then we'll have to go through a relinquishment hearing and determine if they should be removed from the tribal roll. Any questions? Next item is 1905 JNPS. You can read that into the record, please.
Resolution 19-05-JNPS, a resolution approving and supporting the fiscal year 2018 Family Violence Prevention Services grant application to the United States Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families. First three whereas are the same as read in the previous resolution. The fourth whereas, the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Indian Child Welfare Program has operated a Family Violence Prevention Services formula grant for many years and has developed a professional working relationship with the Office of Community Services within the Administration for Children and Families. And whereas the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Indian Child Welfare Program will contract with Project Safe, UNZR Center, Family Resource Center, and Citizen Potawatomi Nation Tribal Police to provide auxiliary services to victims of family violence and their dependents. And whereas the goals of the Family Violence Prevention component of the Indian Child Welfare Program is to provide immediate shelter and related assistance to victims of family violence and to expand efforts to prevent family violence. And whereas these goals will be met if funding is received from the Administration for Children and Families as a result of the grant application. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution supporting the fiscal year 2018 Family Violence Prevention Services grant application to the United States Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution, consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, if awarded an appropriation of approximately $50,000 from the fiscal year 2018 Family Violence Prevention Fund, or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and/or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion?
One question, Chairman. Since are we going to have to pass these out of committee first before going to the legislature? Since we got these late, that'll be the JMPS and the HHS and all these other resolutions.
Chair will entertain a motion to bring this resolution to a committee of the whole because of the timing on submission of the resolution. We'll bring the whole docket forward. The motion then is amended to bring the whole docket forward to the committee of the whole because of the timing of the submission of the resolution.
So,
Was made by Representative Whistler. Is there a second? Second by Representative Barrett. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Koenig.
Secretary Treasurer Charles Dale. Koenig. Representative Johnson.
Koenig.
Representative Lambert.
Koenig.
Representative Whistler.
okay.
Representative Slavin.
Koenig.
Representative Kraft.
Honegger.
Representative Smittelhofer.
Koenig.
Representative Bowden.
Honegger.
Representative Barrett.
Koenig.
Representative Eva Marie Carney. Representative Bursall.
Koenig.
Representative Payne.
Koenig.
Representative Dave Carney.
Koenig.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. The motion is approved. The committee of the whole, after hearing the reading of the grant, after hearing the reading of the grant, our facility, all 3 of our facilities, family protection and child welfare facilities are almost constantly full. The agreement with the Unsner Center and Project Safe, the county and the city facilities are to provide services in the event that we are full and a member of the tribe cannot get in. Also, often issues where the mother seeking a refuge, the children are Potawatomi, the mother is not. So there is sometimes a jurisdictional issue. This will facilitate working that out as well, because we'll just simply pay their daily rate as part of the contract agreement. So Chair, entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Motion made by Representative Johnson. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Eva Marie Carney. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Koenig.
Secretary Treasurer Charles Koenig. Representative Johnson.
Koenig.
Representative Lambert.
Koenig.
Representative Whistler.
Okay.
Representative Slavin.
Koenig.
Representative Kraft.
Honegger.
Representative Smittelhofer.
Koenig.
Representative Bowden.
Honegger.
Representative Barrett.
Koenig.
Representative Eva Marie Carney. Representative Bursall.
Koenig.
Representative Payne.
Koenig.
Representative Dave Carney.
Koenig.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Did Greg, did y'all review this before we did?
This grant application,
Yeah.
I have not seen this grant application, but I'll ask George if he.
Jamie, is that correct? It's 600,000? Oh, it's a 3-year deal. Well, tell Greg, never mind. It's a 3-year deal. That's it.
It says it in the whereas up above.
Chairman, if I may, they're just shaking loose money left and right. I look every day and the Department of Justice is shaking loose mental health money and domestic violence.
Trying to beat October.
Well, there's a crazy amount of money coming out of the federal government. with respect to Department of Justice and cops, tribal cops, youth protection. I mean, you name it, as far as Department of Justice. I mean, CTAS has already come and gone, but this is, I think, unprecedented. I mean, tribal communities can tap into several $1 million right now.
That's twice what we received in
It's
the past.
amazing.
You can read that into the record.
It's all hard, make it great. Didn't hear you.
Did you repeat that?
Maybe some Tylenol.
Resolution 19-06-JNPS, a resolution approving and supporting Citizen Following Nation's grant application for funding under the United States Department of Justice fiscal year 2018 Office for Victims of Crime, OVC, Victims Fund, Crimes Victims Fund, CVF, solicitation to improve services for victims of crimes in Indian country. First three whereas, are the same as read in the previous resolution. The fourth whereas, the Citizen Following Nation has identified the need to improve services for victims of crime in the community, and whereas the United States Department of Justice's DOJ Office for Victims of Crime Victims Fund has announced the availability of grant funds to improve services for victims of crime in Indian country. And whereas the Citizen Following Nation is eligible for and desires to apply for DOJ OVC-CVF funding, and whereas the Citizen Following Nation is proposing to improve services for victims of crime in our community, an estimated 3-year project cost of $600,000, and now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Following Nation that a resolution supporting the Citizen Following Nation's grant application for funding under the United States Department of Justice offer for victims of crime Victims Fund, as described above, is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, if awarded, an appropriation of approximately $600,000 from the fiscal year 2018 Office for Victims of Crime Victims Fund program for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and/or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement of the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Are there any deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chairman, entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Motion made by Representative Payne. Is there a second? Second by Representative Lambert. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Konigay.
Secretary Treasurer Kraus, Koenig, Representative Johnson.
Konigay.
Representative Lambert.
Honegay.
Representative Whistler.
Honegay.
Representative Slavin.
Konigay.
Representative Kraft.
Honegay.
Representative Spittelkofer.
Konigay.
Representative Bowden.
Honegay.
Representative Barrett.
Konigay.
Representative Eve Marie Carney. Representative Birdsall.
Konigay.
Representative Payne.
Konigay.
Representative Dave Carney.
Konigay.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Next is Resolution 1907 from Health and Human Services Subcommittee. You read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Kraft.
Resolution 19-07-HHS, a resolution approving the submission of the fiscal year 2019 Community Services Block Grant CSBG application to the Administration for Children and Families. First three whereas, or same as read in the previous resolution. Fourth whereas, the Citizen Following Nation Public Law 102-477 program, Employment and Training Social Services, assists low-income Native American households who are otherwise ineligible for 477 program funds with fuel costs through vouchers to Fire Lake Convenience Store or other emergency needs such as utility payments or medical-related needs. And whereas if funded, the Citizen Following Nation will receive an estimated $157,000 in a community services block grant to deliver such assistance. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Following Nation that a resolution supporting the submission of the fiscal year 2019 Community Services Block Grant application to the Administration for Children and Family is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, if awarded, an appropriation of $157,000 from the fiscal year 2019 CSBG fund or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and/or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
As a matter of discussion,
Yes.
did someone raise their hand?
I do have a question on this. This one and the next one basically cover the same general area. Why are these people eligible for the next one? I'm just curious why we've broken it out into eligible and ineligible if they're all citizen Potawatomi tribe members. What made them ineligible?
LIHEAP is exclusively for home energy plants. And the 1907 is also includes medical related needs,
Okay, this one excludes medical needs. Is
that kind of thing.
that what it is?
Right. The old LIHEAP program, it's been around for a long time. If you'll recall, in the past, our LIHEAP monies were $20,000, $15,000. It was a little bitty program. 6 years ago, we purchased 3 very large propane storage tanks. One of them is being used as in lieu of natural gas with an air mixer at the Grand to provide fuel for cooking. The rest is electrical out there. But now that we're up in the 181,000 plus 157,000, we're up to the point where there's a tank just as you drive into the concrete plant that is large enough to service a delivery truck with propane. And I'd like to do a survey of how many people in the original Potawatomi jurisdiction are heating their homes with propane and are low income. This LIHEAP program was first passed by Representative Patrick Kennedy, and he formed Citizens Power Company or Citizens Fuel Company in Boston and turned it into a fuel oil trading company, which now generates more profit from the trading company than he was getting from the government from LIHEAP, and he has quadrupled what his LIHEAP funds are by creating this fuel oil trading company. If we were to fill that tank in July and start dispensing fuel in October, November, the price difference per gallon on propane would be almost 12% to 15% lower. So we can save a good deal of money. We should also convert a number of our vehicles, particularly the transportation program vehicles, the buses. We could convert those to propane and save road use tax and somewhere around 25, 30 cents a gallon on fuel if we operated them on propane.
Thank you.
Chairman, I believe also that LIHEAP funding is restricted to the area of jurisdiction in Oklahoma. In other words, those outside are not eligible for the LIHEAP funding.
Right, so that's why I think that LIHEAP now that it's up to this number, what we're getting now is people are just bringing in their bills from OG&E or from the rural power companies, which are, most of them are 8, 9 cents a kilowatt on electricity, and propane is being home delivered right now somewhere around 90 cents a gallon. So we can sure beat that.
There's also LIHEAP funding nationwide. I mean, so I've been, it's been a couple of years, but when I requested this for a tribal member in Kansas, they said, having contact with like a county or somebody that they have the same money.
But we can't use this around the country. This is limited.
Now, this is limited to the original reservation jurisdiction.
Yeah, I wasn't opposed to it. I was just trying to figure out why some are eligible and why some are ineligible. That was really,
I believe, Representative Whistler, is entirely location,
Right.
within the original jurisdiction.
Good.
Close seven. Call the question on, bill number 1907 HHS, and that's the original, community services, block grant application.
Motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Representative Bersall, is there a second by Representative Johnson? Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Donnegan?
Secretary Treasurer Charles Koenig, Representative Johnson, Representative Lambert,
Honegger.
Representative Whistler,
okay.
Representative Slavin,
Okay.
Representative Kraft,
Hornigan?
Representative Smithoff, Representative Bowden,
Honegger.
Representative Barrett,
Donnegan.
Representative Eve Marie Carney,
Okay.
Representative Bersall,
Donnegan.
Representative Payne,
Donnegan.
Representative Dave Carney.
Donnegan.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent, it is approved. I might add, the cost of a propane delivery truck used, but in good shape, is somewhere in the $70,000 range. And of course, you have to have a driver with a commercial license. But, I believe we could acquire the tanks at home, the home tanks, and the delivery truck, and rehab the tank we have for somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000.
Chairman, the Prairie Man operated commercial propane supply.
How are they doing?
I think they're doing fairly well. And of course, there is no natural gas on the reservation, so they've got a pretty, somewhat of a
Monopoly.
monopoly on that.
Well-
Including the casino.
Yeah, the reason we've been sort of dragging our feet on this whole thing is because Rural Water District number 3's charter says that everywhere that we have the ability to lay a water line, we have the ability to lay a natural gas line and sell natural gas through Rural Water District number 3. So that certainly doesn't satisfy where you get the gas, but if we did have a deal for gas and we were laying line, that high pressure poly that we're using for the water line also will carry natural gas. So as long as we kept people, I believe it's 3 feet apart, we could double trench the ditch as we went down the road and take gas to the general public. That's one of the things that's holding back the development of South Platte County. Now that we've resolved the water problem in South Platte County, the rest of the utilities are, gas is not available and electricity is extremely high. So, but I think that in some cases, some of these rural homes are so far out that you'd never recoup the cost of laying 2 miles of line to get to them. So you'd be better off filling up a propane tank and going to them. This becomes especially important in the wintertime, and it's elderly people that can't afford to be.
I think they actually run, like every month or whatever, they hit every tank, make sure that.
I just kind of top them off. That's the way we do it. Because if you wait until they call, then you have to go inside,
Or go
turn
2
everything
o'clock,
off,
or
shoot
2 o'clock in the
pilot lights.
morning.
Yeah, lighting a pilot lights. So it's better just to top the tanks.
Chairman, you also have the problem of when you run propane, you gotta change all the appliances, your hot water tank.
Yeah, change the jets in it.
Yeah.
That's not a real tough thing to do because it's just a single restrictor. But what my concern was that an awful lot of people that run propane in their homes, not to say that I ever did it, but they also run their vehicles on propane and have what's called a feed valve on the low side of the tank and fill the cars up with it. And I don't want for the tribe to start paying for vehicle fuel, I just want to pay for heat. So if you can get a, 1,200 square foot house that's getting $500 a month for propane, we probably have to look at some other issues with but I would like to see us convert the tribe's vehicles to propane. Because compressed natural gas, we priced a compressed natural gas station for the travel plaza, and it was $500,000. Takes a long time to make that one.
Chairman, when you get ready to do that, let me know. I've got 3 vehicle tanks that I'll.
You're on CNG or propane?
No, I was on propane, but I'm just regular gas. It takes too long to siphon off the residential tanks that you got.
You need a little bigger hose.
Are we being recorded right
Yes, we are. Next is, where are we? Resolution 1908, Health and Human Services. You can read that into the record, please. Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Resolution 19-08-HHS, resolution approving the submission of the fiscal year 2019 Lower Income Home and Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, grant application to the Administration for Children and Families. The first 3, whereas, are the same as read in the previous resolution. The fourth, whereas, the Citizen Pollination Public Law 102-477 program, employment and training, social services, assists eligible low-income clients and home energy costs by paying utility companies directly for energy consumption. And whereas, if funded, the Citizen Pollination will receive an estimated $181,500 in LIHEAP funds to deliver such assistance. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Pollination that a resolution supporting the submission of the fiscal year 2019 Lower Income and Energy Assistance Program grant application to the Administration for Children and Families is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, if awarded, an appropriation of up to $181,500 from the fiscal year 2019 LIHEAP fund or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and/or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Are there any additions or deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Motion by Representative Persall, second by Representative Payne. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale, Koenig, Representative Johnson,
Koenig.
Representative Lambert,
Koenig.
Representative Whistler,
Okay.
Representative Slavin,
Koenig.
Representative Kraft,
Koenig.
Representative Smiddlecofer,
Koenig.
Representative Bowden,
Koenig.
Representative Barrett,
Koenig.
Representative Eva Marie Carney, Representative Persall,
Koenig.
Representative Payne,
Koenig.
Representative Dave Carney.
Koenig.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Next is Resolution 1909, Health and Human Services. Would you read that into the record, please? Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Resolution 19-09-HHS, a resolution approving the Citizen Pollination's fiscal year 2018 diabetes grant year 22 proposal to the Indian Health Services under the Special Diabetes Program for Indian Tribes. First 3 whereas are same as read in the previous resolution. The fourth whereas, the Citizen Pollination desires to enter into a grant agreement with the Indian Health Service for approximately $1,092,387 to continue its special diabetes program for the 22nd year. And whereas in 2018, the Citizen Pollination proposes to continue its diabetic program aimed at diabetic prevention and education and primary, secondary, and tertiary diabetic services for the Native American community. And whereas the Citizen Pollination is not required to provide matching or in-kind donations to receive the funds. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Pollination that a resolution supporting the Citizen Pollination's 2018 Diabetes Grant Year 22 proposal to the Indian Health Service under the Special Diabetes Program for Indians is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, if awarded, an appropriation up to $1,092,387 from the Indian Health Service Fund or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and/or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion?
I have one question. Since the Pequots supply some of the diabetic stuff to our people via the mail order program, do we have to send any of this funding to them to help support that program? Or are we able to keep all of this? Don't we know?
Are the Pequots still doing it?
Yeah, the Pequots supply some of the things under the diabetic program to our people on the mail order.
I thought we discontinued that. I thought we discontinued the Pequot thing when they got in a lawsuit.
It's still handled by the Pequots.
Okay. In that case, we are paying some money to the Pequots for the services they are delivering. One of the things that I'd like to see us do is have all of our CHRs take the training to do wound care, particularly deep wound care for diabetics. Because that's about half of the visits that our CHRs make are to diabetes sufferers, and wound care is a big issue. And I think if the CHRs had that ability and training, I don't know how tough it is or if there are any rules on it or anything else, but it seems to me that would get two birds with one stone, pardon the analogy, of making that visit, in addition to checking them, seeing that they're doing their medications, they could go ahead and address any wound that they may have that won't heal.
Chairman,
Commissioner Craft.
do you think that we'll get into the business of dialysis eventually? Since Medicare provides 80% of all treatment costs, it's just a guaranteed revenue source.
10 years ago, I said that no way we'd ever afford it, but we're building an MRI and CAT scan center now, so a dialysis machine, it certainly isn't any more expensive than those. And as many people as we have on diabetic treatment, it's just the local. It's unbelievable how much money we spend on diabetes treatment.
I just recently for the Ponca, we built with ICDPG a dialysis clinic, and with full water treatment, 8 stations, isolation room, and they were planning to operate it with third party as a health service, and they couldn't find a nephrologist anywhere in the country that wouldn't be under a non-compete agreement with Fresenius and Davinia and all of the German conglomerates here. And so we tried to approach HUD to let them lease it and just have a company come in, and HUD denied it because it would be economic development on getting the lease payment. So it sits vacant after 2 years. The water treatment system has to be operated every single day. And so the craziness is there's such a need that it just, and I've wondered if our third party couldn't operate it for the tribe, but I'm not sure we would want to get in with that government. They're very unstable at the moment. They just fired their accounting director, so payments aren't being made and reports aren't being
at the
sent
moment.
in. At the moment. If it could get any worse. But there's lots of money to be made of it.
Chairman, also on the same deal, instead of in-house, they have home dialysis that you could, and they, I don't know what vendor provides that, if we could even do that, and through the medical equipment. Social Security pays, or Medicare pays buku each month. I mean, just for,
Well,
you know,
it
it's
is-
an expensive,
It's a monopoly because these three German
It
companies.
is a monopoly.
Yeah, these three German companies dominate the equipment market and the services market so absolutely thoroughly, and they have the backing of Sisters of Mercy and Baptist and all the big hospital chains. If we could, you know, if we could find an operator, you know,
A nephrologist?
A
A nephrologist?
nephrologist.
Kidney specialist?
If we could find a nephrologist and the equipment, then we ought to take a look at it, but I wouldn't go into it unless we had the nephrologist locked up. Because they're hard to find.
that's something that we should, I'd like to see that too.
Well, we'll do the research on it, and, because we have enough money left in the third-party billing fund, even after our projects that we have now, probably to go on and do it. The most central point to our service population, since most of it's Oklahoma City, it would probably be the Choctaw location. Everybody knows we bought 160 acres at the corner of 23rd Street and the boundary that made the run on. So we're at the absolute far northwest corner of the reservation, but we're directly on 23rd Street that runs in front of the Capitol and Highway 62 at that point. And our service population in that area would be quite large. And we also, if we build it with our own money, we don't have to limit the patients to just Indians. So I think that might be a good spot.
Well, it was 1.7. and then
1.7 million.
And then HUD paid 800,000. That's an 8-station, full water treatment.
1.7 plus the 8.
No, that includes the 8. And then the equipment was 300,000, so that's all of it. 1.7 to be up and running.
So they've got 900 of their own.
On the water station, what's involved in that?
It's not as complicated. For them, we had an issue with sewer, so we had to go after an emergency sewer grant to update their lagoons. And then their water infrastructure, we had to redo their entire water loop and put in a new standpipe because they couldn't get enough fire flow. And so they couldn't pass state certification to get licensed.
Oh, it was a public safety issue rather than a treatment issue.
And then it
Okay.
just,
We've got water and pressure to blow the roof off this place, so we're in good shape with the towers.
if y'all want to look at plans and just look at the concept.
Chairman, one final thing. We spend a lot of money after the fact on diabetes. At the last meeting that I held, I had 2 videos that I was able to show people at my district meeting. There's 8 of us in here that are holding meetings in our own districts. I would like to see some kind of a video put together that we can use in the future that talks about prevention of diabetes, that we can prevent to our citizens out there, because a lot of people don't really understand how this progresses. It's almost like silent death. All of a sudden, you have it. I didn't know, and my doctor told me years ago, that, Bob, you ought to read the book Sugar Busters, Big Whoop. I didn't bother to read it because I was busy. And by the time I did find out I was diabetic, type 2, it's too late. You really can't reverse it. But it can be reversed if you start early enough. And I think a lot of it is simply education. But I would like to see a video that we can use at our meetings.
I think that's a great idea, and I'm pretty sure there are some commercially available that are already made, but.
And it needs to be short, Chairman, like 10, 15 minutes. You can't keep the attention much longer.
I took some grief from the members of the tribe who are in the medical profession over the fact that we have a major distribution of fry bread Go on that festival every year.
Party
Do what?
Party poopers.
Yeah, party poopers. And you know, 4 freezers full of ice cream bars, and I mean, we hand out a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs. But you know, if we're handing out celery, there's not going to be many people going to take it. So because it's a choice. On 9, request to call a question, roll call, please.
No,
Oh,
motion.
need a motion?
I move.
Motion made by Representative Whistler, seconded by Representative Johnson. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig.
Secretary Treasurer Colonel Koenig, Representative Johnson,
Okay.
Representative Lambert,
Koenig,
Representative Whistler, Representative Slavin,
Okay.
Representative Kraft,
Koenig,
Representative Spindlecoffer,
On again.
Representative Ballard,
Koenig,
Representative Barrett,
Conagay.
Representative Eva Marie Carney, Representative Bersall,
Conagay?
Representative Payne,
Conagay.
Representative Dave Carney,
Conagay.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Next is 1910, Natural Resources Subcommittee. If you can read that into the record, please, Representative Secretary Treasurer Trout.
Resolution 19-10-NR, a resolution supporting the addition of new routes as identified in Attachment A to the nation's existing National Tribal Transportation Field Inventory, formerly the Roads Inventory Field Data System, and requesting the Bureau of Indian Affairs add these new routes to the National Tribal Transportation Field Inventory of the Citizen Following Nation. First 3 whereas are the same as in the previous resolution. 4th whereas, the Citizen Following Nation has existing routes on its National Tribal Transportation Field Inventory. And whereas new routes itemized in Attachment A have been identified within the nation's jurisdiction and are eligible for inclusion on the nation's road inventory. And whereas the criteria used to select and evaluate these proposed roads, parking lots, sidewalks, and pathways include 1, connects active centers of population, 2, contributes to industrial activities, 3, contributes to economic development, 4, provides access to jobs, 5, contributes to law and order, 6, removes isolation, 7, provides access to education and cultural activities, 8, provides access to hospital facilities, 9, contributes to accident prevention, and 10, provides emergency services. And whereas all the proposed routes provide access leading to places of employment, health facilities, educational training, etc. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Following Nation that a resolution supporting the addition of these new routes as identified in Attachment A, updating of CPN's existing National Tribal Transportation Field Inventory, and requesting the Bureau of Indian Affairs to add all the requested new routes to the Citizen Following Nation's National Tribal Transportation Field Inventory is hereby approved.
I noticed in the body of the resolution on the proposed road justification that on item 3 it says road ownership. It says although the land for these proposed roads lies outside of the CPN jurisdictional boundary, the tribe owns the land. I believe that is an error because our boundary is McDonald Road. And it looks to me as if this property is all entirely east of McDonald Road. So
That's the property we just talked about.
right, that's this square with all the trees. The trees aren't there anymore, but all the trees and such that goes down to what is the section line there. That's all ours, and that's just one half of the streets that were proposed. The city owns the park on the bottom quarter of the page where there's a pond and some cleared areas that has ballparks and quite a number of new things in that park in that area. And so we didn't develop a piece between the park and this commercial area where the streets are. But I believe that is mistaken, that that McDonald Road is outside the jurisdiction. I'm absolutely certain that by the time you get to about Noble, the section line adjustments have gotten rid of that half a mile. And so we're directly on the old meridian down the southern part of the county, but by the time you get to the northern part of the reservation, the section line adjustments have gotten it out a half a mile. So I'm pretty sure that that's in error, but they made us put that in as a safety clause. Any other additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Resolution by Representative Bowden, seconded by Representative Eva Green Carney. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Flanagan.
Secretary Treasurer Travis Koenig. Representative Johnson.
Koenig.
Representative Lambert.
Koenig.
Representative Whistler.
Koenig.
Representative Slaven.
Koenig.
Representative Kraft.
Koenig.
Representative Spindletop.
Flanagan.
Representative Bowden.
Koenig.
Representative Barrett.
Koenig.
Representative Eva Marie Carney. Representative Bursaw.
Koenig.
Representative Payne.
Koenig.
Representative Dave Carney.
Koenig.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent is approved. Next is Resolution 1911, the Natural Resources Committee.
Resolution 19-11-NR, resolution adopting the Citizens of Potawatomi Nation's updated tribal transportation program transportation improvement plan and approving submittal of the plan to the Federal Highway Administration. First three, whereas, so same as read in the previous resolution. Fourth, whereas, the Citizens of Potawatomi Nation has an existing direct implementation agreement with the Federal Highway Administration to plan for transportation improvements within the nation's jurisdiction as afforded under the Tribal Transportation Program. And whereas funding for the Transportation Improvement Plan is estimated to be $27,160,000 for fiscal year 2019 through fiscal year 2025. And whereas the chairman has reviewed and prioritized the updated combined fiscal year 2019 through fiscal year 2025 transportation improvement plan, which must be submitted to the FHWA. And whereas this transportation improvement plan will be amended by resolution if necessary when new tribal transportation program projects are identified and or priorities change. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizens of Potawatomi Nation that a resolution accepting the updated combined fiscal year 2019 through 2025 tribal transportation program transportation improvement plan and authorizing its continued inclusion in the agreement with FHWA is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, an appropriation of approximately $27,160,000 from the Federal Highway Administration account or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion?
Chairman,
Yes.
you had talked in the past, I don't know if it was last meeting or if the Thursday night deal, about the Hardesty Road going west that was going to be 5 lane from Gordon Cooper to 13th Street.
That's correct.
Okay, now here you also have going east to Arnhorst. Is that going to be a 5 lane also?
Yes, it is. And the piece that from 177 to 13th is a cooperative project with the county, whereas the Hardesty Road from 177 to Gordon Cooper Drive is entirely on us, and the piece over to Iron Horse is entirely on us. And then in order to avoid having the truck traffic from the Iron Horse Industrial Park go past South Rock Creek School, we're rebuilding what's called River Road. It's that old section line road used to have a dump on it where the bridge that washed out across the Canadian was. it would get us over to, South Rock Creek Road without going past the school.
Is it gravel or paved? Will it be gravel or paved?
It'll be paved.
Putting a bridge in there too?
Now, that WPA
Or is it
bridge,
still there?
that WPA bridge is still there.
Oh,
And,
Bootlegger's Road, if I
yeah.
remember right.
Is that the road out by the housing?
No, it's on the far side of Iron Horse, and then you go north to the length of Iron Horse, you have to go right because of the river. There was a road, Bryan Street in Shawnee, that had a bridge across the river where you went to Bryan and turned left and crossed the river, because the river there is going north-south. And crossed that, there was an old wooden piling bridge, and you crossed that bridge onto River Road. And then that bridge washed away at the same event that, when all the other bridges did. And what we're proposing now is to, in order to avoid having heavy truck traffic at that intersection of South Rock Creek School and Hardesty, that we convert it over to River Road.
What are we gonna do with the steel pile?
It is being moved as we speak.
No, I'm talking about ball pipes and steel.
Oh, I've done everything I can.
I wouldn't put a road in. I mean, that's,
Oh, we're going, the county's going to declare the right of way. We're going to put it on the county's right of way. The county's going to expand their right of way. There's going to be some controversy from Hardesty, and there'll be some controversy from, yeah.
Hardesty Grocery?
Yeah, and I think the steel plant and junk plant, metal scrap plant, they're gonna squiggle like a pig under a gate. The railroad's gonna complain about widening their crossing, but they don't have an approved crossing there anyway. So
that's just a shuttle. It's not a tree traffic.
they just delivering that steel
Yeah.
or that scrap,
Yeah.
but they don't have a drop arm or a light or just nothing. And so most likely the National Railway Administration will receive some notice that they need to address the issue of high traffic problem with the railroad crossing, which may strengthen our position to getting them to move to the 30 acres that we own north of town on the railroad that we offered to improve for them and swap with them. They have a pollution problem over there that they're not entirely sure what all they have, but they've overflowed their catch basin on stormwater several times. And we've had the bunch of men in the white plastic suits out there several times because they had a big old pile of transformers that had what is that called?
PCB.
PCBs. They had PCB pollution in the creek, and then that giant pile of steel cuttings from the machine shop that's 30 feet high out there. That came with machine oil all over it, and of course every time it rains, it washes that down next to the track and misses their catch basin and goes into the creek on the dock. And we've tested it and gone up and down it, and they have two people whose job it is to run people off of the right of way because they don't want to sampling the water. So it's all going to come to a head. The problem is that's a New York Stock Exchange listed company that they're very powerful and have lots of in-house lawyers, and it'd be a tough fight with them. They actually bought that property from the railroad, whereas the steel plant on the other side of the road is on Burlington North of Santa Fe right away. And we thought that built business closed because they didn't have any materials there for some time, and then all of a sudden someone's in there building some fabricating some things by contract. But I think if we had the opportunity to get that lease from the railroad, we should, because that would give us a justification for going after a crossing. And we really need to have the ability to deliver gravel and poured cement to the concrete plant on that spur that runs between the electrical warehouse and the concrete plant. By the way, if you haven't gone down to see the concrete plant, Larry Johnson has completely rebuilt almost everything in it, and it's even acidized the side of it, has the paint all pretty, and it looks like a brand new plant. They got it all calibrated and had the late John Harwell machine. That's a whole new regulator piece that decides how much cement and how much rock and sand goes in. He built one of those. I guess it's one of his last projects before he died. But they really have the plant going. We bought 3 new concrete trucks. We bought 3 new to us concrete trucks. They're used trucks, but they're in good shape, and we bought them delivered from Jennings, Louisiana. I drove down to Jennings thinking I was going to make it in 8 hours.
You made it in 6, right?
I made it in 12. Yeah, that's a long drive.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question, just on the backup sheet on the new projects. There are 3 projects in the middle that look like they're going to placeholder projects with no project cost right now. Or the sheet behind the summary sheet of the costs. Yeah.
Oh, the ones with no money too?
Yeah, so Boys and Girls Club, hardware store, and Max Auto Parts, are these all, I know about the hardware store idea, are these development projects that we had cooking?
They're ones we're doing research on. The hardware store, we have been visiting with 3 different hardware companies Richard Driscoll has. Of course, there's an Ace Hardware in town already, but we think because of our proximity to Tecumseh that we probably could get an Ace, but Dwayne's found a better company. HWI.
Was one of them. Richard and I have been working on it, but
Yeah.
it didn't come to a conclusion.
Anyway, we've been talking with different hardware companies about what their programs are, because the hardware is normally about 1/2 to 2/3 of hardware paint and such is about 1/2 to 2/3 of the revenue of a lumberyard. But there is no lumberyard in Harrah, McLeod, anywhere over in that area at all. And there's no lumberyard from here to, well, there's not one in Stratford either, is there? You
just big box anymore.
Yeah, you gotta drive 50, 60 miles to get lumber south here. So, we think that there's a potential for a lumberyard hardware store at the old Pratt's location that we own in Tecumseh. We think that one over in Choctaw would do well. The Choctaw City Council, we're not sure how all of them feel, but our meeting with the mayor and the city manager, they talked 30 minutes about what a blessing it was and how hard they worked to get a Walmart into town. And then, which you'd close down 7 or 8 other businesses. But I think Chinese goods are going to be a little more expensive, so maybe Walmart will be a little easier to compete against them. I noticed this morning they announced a 31% tariff increase on Chinese goods, steel goods. So, I think we're in for a major trade war. The only thing that's staying up is lumber.
So 23,
Already smart.
He's
Already smart.
So the 23rd and 24th are restored tax, those are both related to.
And those are both related to properties that we own that are currently being used for storage. The Boys and Girls Club parking is, if we do make the conversion of the putt to a gymnasium by raising the roof and doing things we talked about, then what is now the Boys and Girls Club would be part of the physical therapy operation and an extension of the wellness center.
Okay, thank you. So we can look forward to hearing more about those.
I hope so. Virtually a third of this budget is the Hardesty Road widening project. But I think that's going to make a huge amount of difference on our traffic, particularly from Bethel, since the city has seen fit not to reopen this slaughterhouse. What's the name of that bridge? Slover Bridge, the old Clearbond Bethel Bridge. Since they've seen fit not to reopen that, and now state of Oklahoma's condemned it, the only way you can get to anything south is to go clear up to Benedict and end, or all the way down to Hardesty, which is a much. We're going to end up capturing most of that business out there.
Chairman, if we're looking to get into the lumber business, I noticed that on Kickapoo, there were several restaurants that are closed, here in the city of Shawnee. Has there been an increase in housing starts in the other areas around here? Are we having growth in the area? Because when I see restaurants closing, I'm wondering what's happening to the population.
The city of Shawnee decided to widen Kickapoo Street.
Is that what did it?
And they said it was going to take 8 months. It took 3 years, and they broke almost every business on Kickapoo.
Okay, because I was shocked seeing some of the restaurants that were closed, because a couple of them that I've eaten in the past had excellent food, and they had good clientele when I went in and I thought, what is going on?
Yeah, the city just broke them.
That's pitiful.
Yeah, there was a lot of warm conversation that didn't speed the contractor up.
Did Wayne?
I said you'd also remember that that this type of lumber hardware store, 2/3 of the revenue will be generated from do-it-yourselfers and repair and remodel.
Okay.
And it's not tied.
Okay, so it's not
only
new
about
construction.
30% is new construction.
Okay, thank you.
Is that construction on the golf course, Chairman?
During the festival, I had at least 5 people approach me about a lot next to number 12 over there to build at least $300,000 home. And, I didn't have any loan forms in my pocket at the time, but we are going to develop that piece of property as soon as we can. What we really need is a comprehensive plan of what we're going to do with all of this property around here that needs to come back to the legislature to approve a development plan. And then once we get the comprehensive plan done, then we can decide at what stage it's going. But they have broadened the Section 184 guaranteed Indian housing loans to, they've eliminated am I correct on this, Greg? They've eliminated the income restrictions. You can build a 184 house, whatever your income is, and if it goes above the normal, I think it's 180,000, you have to, you still get the guarantee that you have a different rate on that, but you can get
It's
now
limited to
whatever.
the 180,000?
I think 180 in this area. I believe
Oh, okay.
180 is this area's 184 limit. Where, I think you could build a $300,000 house on a 184, and we can package 184s through both the bank and the CDC. There's also in this project $1 million for the truck plaza at the Grand. That the highway department decided that the current bridge across Deer Creek, even though it was the 200-year flood, then the water did back up some, and they're going to make us build a bridge out there and take that out. So that's part of that project, is that bridge.
We're talking about the $1.6 million on resolution 19-12.
Right, it's number 14.
19-11.
Yeah. But on the inventory sheet, it's
Is it number 15?
number 15. Yeah, number 15. There's $1 million in there for that bridge, and then we had another for the bridge back by the water tower. On the other end, we already have the funding for that.
Because I have some funding for a bridge out at the Grand on this next resolution, on this next
Yes. That's really so we can start the thing before the deadline from the highway department, rather than wait on this block grant, or this federal funding. Where are we, 12? Call the question on 11. Chairman, entertain a motion to approve 19-11. Motion made by Representative Whistler. Is there a second? Representative Payne. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett. Konigay. Secretary Treasurer Crownswood. Konigay. Representative Johnson.
Konigay.
Representative Lambert.
Konigay.
Representative Whistler.
Okay.
Representative Slaven.
Konigay.
Representative Kraft.
Konigay.
Representative Spindlecoffer.
Konigay.
Representative Bowden.
Konigay.
Representative Barrett.
Okay.
Representative Eve Marie Carney. Representative Bershaw.
Konigay.
Representative Payne.
Konigay.
Representative Dave Carney.
Konigay.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent. It is approved. Next is Resolution 1912, Economic Development Commerce. Can you read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Trowson?
Resolution 19-12-E, D, and C, a resolution approving a loan agreement between the Citizen Following Community Development Corporation and the Citizen Following Nation Express Grocery of McLeod for the payment of equipment, construction costs, and parking lot enhancements to provide a full-service grocery store within low-income census tracts. First 3 whereas are the same as read in the previous resolution. The 4th whereas, the Citizen Following Nation Community Development Corporation has the authority to make loans to the nation at a fair and equitable interest rate to help establish a full-service grocery store within low-income census tracts. And whereas the Citizen Following Nation Community Development Corporation Loan Committee will approve this loan in the amount pursuant to the terms and conditions attached hereto. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Following Nation that a resolution authorizing the loan agreement between the Citizen Following Nation Community Development Corporation and Express Fireless Grocery of McLeod, Oklahoma is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, the legislature of the Citizen Following Nation hereby approves an appropriation of $1.6 million plus interest from CPN Community Development Corporation for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and or completion of this contract. Regulation or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
This is to repay the tribe for the $1.6 million that we spent on the McLeod grocery store, to bring that capital back into the tribe in order to build another one like it on the Choctaw property. We built the McLeod store without borrowing any money. We did it with our own cash. So the CDC or the CDFI got a $24 million bond fund addition to the capital at a very low rate, two something percent. And they had this money in surplus, and we thought it would be a pretty good deal to finance the McLeod grocery store, which is very profitable, by the way. It's doing well. Just get our money back out of the McLeod grocery store, 24-year loan, so it's going to be a nice low payment, and then that'll give us enough money to go build another one over at Choctaw.
Chairman, I know this is a very simple loan agreement. Does the Express Grocery, do they pledge their asset, or what guarantees the 1.6?
The tribe, full faith and credit.
It's
the
a
tribe.
personal, it's just be a personal guarantee then.
But yeah, the tribe's going to guarantee, the nation's going to guarantee
So there's no,
for the grocery store. Now, the grocery store's assets are up on the loan, but we had to put a guarantee.
well, you know what I'm saying is, this is,
But we're not gonna have 5.5%, 24 years is a pretty good deal.
especially in 10 years from now.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
Greg, I think was.
Quick question, the balloon payment, that's an optional payment?
It has a 7-year balloon in order that the board of directors can readjust the interest rate if necessary.
Yeah, this loan package accomplishes a couple of things. The CDC has $1.6 million in Healthy Foods Project money that they need to move. And so it was structured as a reimbursement on the McLeod Express Grocery, so it would fall within the parameters of the grants they received for that money. And then the projects are all projects that have been on the board, but Vice Chairman Capps is proposing that those be moved up to take advantage of the interest rates because they appear to be headed upward. And so it should accomplish both of those purposes. And one of the, I guess the biggest expenditure on here is the diesel pumps out at the travel center. We have found that with the law mandating the additional additives into the diesel, which they can pour in by bottle, but our competitor has diesel pumps that injects that additive without the trucker having to do anything. And we're finding that folks are stopping there to get their diesel and then parking in our lot. And so we want to reverse that is what they're trying to do. And so that is 5.5 money to the tribe on the 24-year term.
Yeah, the original money was a grant from the federal government for healthy foods.
Yeah, they switched it over from the bond money to the Healthy Foods Project money because the deadline date on that is coming up, and so they needed to get it moved. And so we still have some.
So we still have a piece of the bond money left.
We do, yeah, and that interest rate would probably be a little bit lower. The cost of that money was a little bit lower than this, but they had to get this out of the door.
Where do the county value of gas pumps fall in? It doesn't show up on the term sheet or the other. That's the reason why it's structured as a reimbursement to the tribe for the expenses that the tribe has put into the grocery store. That's what was necessary to get it to fall under the parameters.
Get it back to the reimbursement, we can do it anywhere we want to.
Okay.
Yeah, but the projects that we're showing is the bridge, the diesel pumps, some golf equipment, sod farm building, and another cement truck, which were projects that were sitting on the board, but we decided that it would be cheaper to go ahead and do them now than wait.
We lost those 3 Peterbilt cement trucks because they didn't take good care of the inside of the frame, and back in the last 4 feet of the frame, it made a hole in the frame, and they wouldn't, if we got stopped, it would fast. Worse than that, it could, you know, the frame can break with a load of cement on that, even worse. But we are going to try to take those mixers, which are fine, and possibly mount those mixers on a trailer and take the truck, shorten the frame, move the wheels up, and use it as a tractor and pull the trailer with the mixer. We're going to give that a shot, and that costs more money than another truck. We're going to quit. But we do have 3 good mixers, but the trucks under them have a frame issue.
So just real quick, Chairman, just so I know, the majority of the proceeds of this are going to be used to build the proceeds of the
Another convenience,
Yeah, that is what the intention of these things are.
other than 6.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think this round of the main 6 is going to put the new bridge in, right?
My understanding is it's a new bridge, it's the diesel pumps, it's the golf equipment, the sod farm building, and the cement truck.
Okay.
On this one, 1.6, this is the list that Vice Chairman Capps gave me.
So Richard not going to spend his 1/6. He's going to spend that on the convenience store, and we're going to use this 1.6 to fix the bridge. And
That's my understanding.
okay, all that steel that those 51 big beams, the 12 by 36, 220 pound a foot high beams, we're going to build that bridge out of those, so we won't have to buy big metal for it. And we have almost all the cross pieces left that we salvaged from that arch bridge that I bought from Cleveland County. Or I didn't buy it, I traded it for 10 yards of concrete.
All right, thank you.
I understand it's a reimbursement. The CDC has time deadlines on earmarked money,
Yes.
and we use this to facilitate fulfilling that obligation. And we can take these monies now that they're in-house and spend them on what we want. But when we build the other convenience store, we'll seek different funding for that or pay for it in-house.
Okay, the reason I'm confused is because of the title of the resolution.
It has to be that, I believe, Greg, so that it clears CDC approval.
Yeah, CDC really wanted to move the Healthy Foods Project money that has the deadline coming up. And the cleanest way to do that was to do as a reimbursement on the tribe's expenses in the McLeod Express Grocery. And then the security on it is their equipment.
Thank you, thanks for that.
The government gave us a real break, and as you know, we are fairly adamant about not having the one employment or one tax ID number. And so all of our subsidiary corporations are created as subsidiary corporations and domesticated in the state, of all the things that we have to do. But we're using one employer ID number, and they fought us for a little while, and then they realized that we were, of all the customers they had, we were the best paying and had the lowest rated loan failures and everything else. So when they gave us the $24 million, they didn't even bring it up. So. We need this yet? Chair will entertain a motion to approve 19-12 ED&C. Motion by Representative Bershaw. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Barrett. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Donahue?
Secretary Treasurer Trouncil Konigay. Representative Johnson.
Konigay.
Representative Lambert.
Conagay?
Representative Whistler.
Aye.
Representative Slavin.
Konigay.
Representative Pratt. Representative Spittlcover.
Konigay.
Representative Bowden.
Conagay.
Representative Barrett.
Conagay.
Representative Eve Marie Carney.
Konigay.
Representative Hershoff.
Konigay.
Representative Payne.
Konigay.
Representative Dave Carney.
Konigay.
14 in favor, 2 absent.
14 in favor, 2 absent, it is approved. We have been approached by a man I've known for some time, who's a reputable guy, who has found a limestone deposit north of the town of Little, which right now we're hauling all of our concrete rock and our gravel for underlayment. We're hauling that from Davis, Oklahoma, which is a long way. And it's costing us about $16 a ton. This trip over to Little is less than 20 miles. If the limestone all tests out the highway grade of hardness, we're probably going to help him develop this limestone quarry. Get involved with him in some way, because there is a huge market for limestone, and his best access to that market is to truck it to Iron Horse and ship it out. So we would have a new and lower cost supply of rock for our concrete and for the rest of our different rock products. We are planning on building a building at the concrete plant when this wintertime comes to build prefabricated concrete products. The first products that we're going to build are burial vaults, and we're going to use the military method that Representative Bershaw described, where basically you go in and set your drainage all up on a piece of land and take the burial vaults and put them edge to edge, and then come back and cover them up with soil, so that when you excavate for the vault, you're only removing the dirt right on top, and there's not a space between the two, so you get a higher concentration of them. And in the front of that area is where the columbarium is going to be. We have a set of plans for the columbarium and the Veterans Memorial. It'll be in a big V with an open end, and both sides of it will be done. And we're using this 6 foot by 4 foot those huge steel beams that we have off of the Interstate 40 bridge. We're going to set 2 of those on a concrete foundation and then brick them up. And the space to the internal flange from the outside of the steel and the brick will give us about a 13.5-inch depth inside, and they'll be a little over 12 by 12 with a bronze front on them, and that's set into brick. But that big heavy steel will never, once it's bricked over, will never deteriorate. So I think it'll be a real good strong design.
Jeremy, I first saw this up at the National Cemetery at Lebanon. We were on tour, but I passed a row of headstones, tombstones. They were fairly close together. I asked I'm talking like 4 feet, maybe 6 feet. And I asked the guy that was giving the tour, I said, what happened here? What's this? At one time, and I don't know what era, they attempted to use vertical vaults.
Which I think is a good idea.
Save a lot of space, but it did give, you were barely standing up.
Which I think is cool with me.
Does it really matter? But yeah.
What do you think about taxes for you?
we do need to have an executive session. So if our guests could excuse themselves, thank you all for being here.